About 10 years ago, actually more like 8 years ago, I was heading down the road of fatty liver, gallstones, removal, and maybe worse, following the footsteps of some of my family members. But this is how I turned it around. So I just want to tell you my story so that you can understand like where I'm coming from and why the liver and bile flow and MTHFR is so important to me. So let's back up. About 8 years ago, I was just tired. I was fatigued. I had brain fog. I was moody. I had melancholy and sadness. I was always cold. My hands and my feet, I was always cold, and I used to dread taking showers because of how cold it felt when I had to get out of the shower. I had dry skin. I was waking up regularly at 3 a.m. and I was so frustrated and resentful. But then there came a moment when I knew that something needed to change, because just one day I was like, is this all there is? Is this what my life has become? I had wanted so much more for myself, and this is not where I imagined myself being. So what I started to do, because I was dealing with a really resentful mindset, is I started listening to podcasts. And I started just working on my mindset, and that helped me to just kind of look at things differently. And I started going for walks and practicing gratitude, because it seemed like gratitude was kind of the way that you start to change. Okay, so I started practicing gratitude. That led me to learning about some supplements that I felt could help me. These were supplements that at the time I thought they were gut-brain axis supplements. Like I thought that I needed help with my brain. And so I started taking these supplements, and what I didn't know is that they were helping me with my gut and my liver. Okay, so I started feeling better. And then I started feeling good enough that I started working out. My sister was a Beachbody coach, and she encouraged me to start working out. And at the same time, one of the podcasts that I've been listening to said that the most successful people start their day with a workout. And that really like stuck out to me. That really just like made a big impact on me. And I was like, I want to be successful. I want to start working out. So I kind of dabbled in workouts every now and then, but then there came a time when I decided that I was going to work out every single day, no matter what, because I heard somebody say that you have to put yourself first, because the rest of the day you're taking care of everybody else. And at the time I had young kids, and it was always school and lunches and errands and activities after school. And so I was always running around for them, which is one of the reasons why I was kind of resentful about my life, because I was running around all over the place and not taking care of myself. So what I started doing is getting up early, and I journal a little bit, and I would work out. So I was doing a Beachbody program called 21 Day Fix. And I started working out every single day. Even if it was hard, I just decided I was going to do it. Even if I didn't feel like it, I was going to do it. Okay, so then that actually helped me start feeling better. And then that led me to eating better, because when I felt better, I started eating better and changing some of my habits and changing my nutrition. And I started feeling better. And then that led me to enroll in a functional nutrition program, because actually, if you go back to when I was in high school and going to college, I actually wanted to go into nutrition. I wanted to become a dietitian, but I actually wanted to get an undergraduate degree in chemistry and biochemistry first, and then I was going to get a master's in nutrition. But I got married and I had kids, and I kind of put that on hold for a long time. I went into the industry, I went into pharmaceuticals, and I became a pharmaceutical chemist. And I did that for a very long time until I remembered, oh my gosh, I wanted to become a dietitian. And like now I want to go back to that. And so I enrolled in a functional nutrition program. And that was when I started learning about the liver and bile. And I honestly became obsessed with it. I was like, why are we not talking about, how come I never have heard this before about how important the liver is? It's a detox organ, and how important bile is, and how like if you don't have good bile flow, then you're not going to be absorbing fat soluble nutrients, and those are so important. And bile does so many things, like it keeps your colon clean, it helps to kill bacteria, It helps to detox. It has so many functions, and I literally just geeked out on it, okay? And so I started talking about that on my social media, about the liver and bile flow and gallstones, and I was just getting a flood of people that were interested in, there's like, I have gallstones, or I don't have a gallbladder, and it just seemed like it was this really important thing that was not being addressed, you know, in like with your doctor or social media, like we weren't talking about it enough. So at the same time, I started realizing that I had transformed my body and my energy and my mood. And like looking back within a couple years, like I didn't count calories, I wasn't tracking macros, I was simply working out. I was eating differently, like starting to eat more protein and more cruciferous vegetables and supporting my liver because of what I was learning. I started eating more cabbage and broccoli and eating more protein. And I lost 25 pounds by really just like going after things that made me feel good and energized and supporting my liver. So I lost 25 pounds, but not only that, my energy was completely different. I wasn't moody. I wasn't dealing with resentment. And before, when I had liver problems, I would have an emotional, like I would get stressed or mad, and it would take me days to recover from it. But then with my transformation, like I would just bounce back so easily from anything that bothered me. And my mood was good. I stopped waking up at 3 a.m. I started sleeping better. And it was just amazing what happened with not only my body, but my mind and my energy, okay? So, and my metabolism. So I used to probably eat only around 1,200 calories a day. Now I'm eating between 2,200 and 2,600 calories a day. And that is my maintenance. And so like, because I supported my liver and I started supporting my body, I am eating so much more, and I lost that weight and built muscle. So like I said, I started sharing more about the gallbladder on social media, and I started digging into, okay, why are we having so many gallbladder problems? And then that led me to the liver, and like, why are we having so many liver problems? And it led me to a couple of genetic variations, especially the MTHFR. But the reason that I started like caring so much about MTHFR is like, it's almost like I was led to something that I needed, because I found out that I had an MTHFR variation, and I used to have, and you know, like I had bile sludge and I had fatty liver, and now knowing that I had an MTHFR variation, everything started to make sense. And everything started to make sense in my family, because I had a family history of fatty liver, gallstones, gallbladder removal, mental illness, depression, OCD, diabetes, and all of that makes sense in the context of an MTHFR variation. And then looking at what I was dealing with, I was weak, feeling weak, I was tired, I had sluggish liver, I had gallbladder sludge, I had sadness and melancholy and seasonal affective disorder. And that is, connects a lot of dots under the umbrella of an MTHFR variation, because muscle weakness, feeling tired all the time, it has to do with your neurotransmitters, it has to do with your detox. And then when I realized that, it just made so much sense, and it just like really clicked. And then I realized that my kids also were showing signs of having some MTHFR struggles. Like my daughter had a stork bite when she was born. My youngest son always gets cold sores. My middle son has some like attention. He's not ADHD, maybe he is, he was never diagnosed, but he has some of those tendencies. And so everything just started clicking. And then I realized that MTHFR actually affects 50% of the population. Now, not everybody has symptoms, or maybe they're not aware of their symptoms, but it affects 50%. And not only that, the big problem that makes it really, like, it wouldn't be a big deal, except we have this synthetic form of folate in our food supply, which is clogging up everybody's MTHFR. So it just like was such a huge piece of the puzzle for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about MTHFR and fatty liver and gallbladder. And so that's why now I focus on helping women support their liver, support their bile, detox MTHFR through stress relief, through nutrition, through lifestyle, through activities, and through supplements. And then recently through mindset and the power of your thoughts. So that is kind of my story. I wanted to share it. I just wanted to like bring that to you because I realized I haven't talked about it much, and a lot, I've been getting questions like, like, what's your story? Or do you have a gallbladder? Or do you have gallstones? Did you lose your gallbladder? Like, did you have gallbladder attacks? And so I just wanted to share where I came from and why I'm so passionate about it. So my mom lost her gallbladder. My aunts did. My grandma got diabetes. She actually had to get her legs amputated, which was really, really traumatic. But I believe that a lot of that could have been prevented if she had been supported in the right ways. But, there's no woulda, coulda, shouldas. Things happened the way they did for a reason. We can't go back. But that is why I'm so passionate about it. So I just want to share that with you guys. And I hope that resonates with you and you just kind of understand where I'm coming from. Thanks so much for watching.